All right, so what you're seeing behind me here is not a scene out of the movie World War Z. It's actually Incirlik military base inside of Turkey, where they harbor not only U.S. troops, but you guessed it, nuclear weapons. As a part of the 2009 nuclear sharing program, the United States distributed 100 tactical nukes throughout many countries in Europe. 5 countries to be exact: Turkey, Belgium, Germany, Netherlands, and Italy. Turkey was one of them, and as you know, there's a bitter acrimony between Turkey and Israel right now, and not only that, Turkey and many other NATO nations and pending NATO nations. And as a result of this, we can presume that it's only a matter of time before the United States withdraws these nuclear weapons from Turkey. And situations like this are not making relations any better, especially when Turkey has essentially declared or threatened to declare war against Israel if they don't improve their handling of the Palestinian situation. Now, most people think that's just political talk from Erdogan, who's trying to appease his voting base. But as you can see here, this is becoming a very precarious situation, and I can only imagine that it's only a matter of time before the U.S. wants to withdraw those nuclear weapons. Now, we got a ton of stuff to talk about today. So much has been happening so fast. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we got the map, we got videos to share with you. Let me give you the brief rundown of what we need to talk about today. We have a U.S. nuclear submarine making its way to the Persian Gulf. We don't know if this is a nuclear-armed submarine, but we'll talk about the possibilities that it is. We also have a major attack on Lebanese civilians by the Israeli Defense Forces, which of course may catapult us up the escalation ladder into a full-scale war with Lebanon. The Iron Dome system is failing miserably lately. 5 hits on one city in Israel by Hezbollah today, all at the same time, and you got the defense system, the interceptors flying around, and they're hitting hospitals inside Israel or hitting residential buildings and things of that nature. It's not looking good right now. We have a far-right minister in Israel relieved of his cabinet duties after calling for the use of nuclear weapons in the Gaza Strip. This is not the first time this has happened. There's been many people in the Israeli government calling for the use of nukes. We're going to talk about a hypothetical today. Would that even be practical? And what use would it have, especially for the subterranean component? How to take out the tunnels. We're going to show you some videos of some underground nuclear weapons testing, and you can be the judge as to whether or not you think that that will be executed at some point. We have the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier heading to the Persian Gulf. We have, Anthony Blinken making a quick photo op stop in Iraq for 2 hours, and then he bounced right away because apparently the Iraqi resistance forces are mobilizing. They're not happy about his presence. The CIA director, William Burns, has arrived in Tel Aviv at the time of making this video, and that's never good because where he goes, big wars seem to follow. Just like in Ukraine, after he went there, it was pretty much guaranteed that we're going to be in a long-term attritional war. We have the IDF saying that they are ready to strike and retaliate against Hezbollah's attacks today at any moment. They're just waiting for the order to do so. Israel has shot down another Houthi missile. There are rumors that a nephew of Netanyahu may have been killed in the Gaza Strip. If so, he is one to hold a grudge. Apparently, there's some rumors that his brother was killed by a Palestinian a long time ago, and that's part of the reason why he's got such a massive chip on his shoulder. But don't quote me about that. We got the Iranian foreign minister threatening the United States, and we got Hamas meeting the Ayatollah in Iran. We have all kinds of stuff going on in Russia and Ukraine, from major explosions at weapon storage facilities to very suspicious activity at a nuclear power plant. And we got some very interesting Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, red skies that I don't think I've ever seen before. And we see a lot of Aurora Borealis up here. We also have the Ukrainians who claim to have sunk a Russian ship, and that is just scratching the surface of what we have to talk about today. Now, let's talk about, before we talk about the nuclear submarine, I just want to give you guys some perspective, okay, of what the nuclear situation in the world looks like right now. So this is the world for the most part, okay? So you can't see the United States, but the blues, that's the good guys, right? That's what we tell ourselves anyways. I guess we won't know until the afterlife, if you believe that sort of thing. Who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? Anyways, the blues, so we tell ourselves, are the good guys. The reds, the red menace, that's the axis of evil, as we call them. That's the bad guys. So this is a breakdown of nuclear nations, okay? So let's just go across the map here. So nuclear nations, the red guys. We got North Korea. We got China, who has a shit ton of nukes. We got Pakistan, who has a few nukes. We have Iran, who we don't know if they have nukes. It's presumed that they could have them rather quickly. Some people speculate that they already have them, or if they wanted them, they could have them relatively quickly. And the idea that they're making them at such great depths in their deep underground military bunkers that they would be inaccessible even by U.S. bunker busting nuclear weapons. Okay, that's going to be important in a minute when we talk about the Ohio-class submarine, which is currently in the Persian Gulf, possibly for that very purpose. Of course, Russia has nukes all over the place. Novaya Zemlya up there, they got nuclear mobile platforms all over. They have nuclear submarines, and of course they have their bombers. They have all three aspects of the nuclear triad, and they recently put some in Belarus. Now, in terms of the good guys, South Korea is hosting U.S. nuclear weapons right now in the form of an Ohio-class submarine, I do believe, but don't quote me on that. But I do know that there is some American nuclear weapons there right now. Tensions on the Korean Peninsula are higher than they've ever been. We have India, who theoretically, if they had to choose, I think they would still be on our side, even though they are currently a member of BRICS and they might be pulled in that direction. It's hard to say. They also have an affinity with the Israelis, so it's possible that that would be another binding force with us. So the Israelis, with the undisclosed amount of nuclear weapons, they claim they have about 300, or that's what some people speculate. They have, we don't know the yields of those. They're very secretive about it, obviously. They were provided a lot of that with the help and the assistance of the United States. There's nuclear facilities there that have been the target of strikes by the Yemenis. Of course, we have the 5 countries that are in possession of U.S. tactical nukes. Theoretically, Turkey is one of those countries. I say theoretically because we don't know if they still have them. You would think that in light of all the tensions between Turkey and NATO, the United States might withdraw those nuclear weapons, but maybe they don't want to do that because it's kind of a sign of trust between the nations, and it would incentivize Turkey to move eastward in terms of their alliances. Of course, we have Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, France, and London, and of course, the big dog on the block, the United States. Okay, and as you can see, all of our enemies, we have nuclear weapons very close to them, but here we are over here, and all we hear is crickets. So, but you can bet that there's a lot of big boys, city killers pointed at us by the Russians and the Chinese. Now, I just wanted to show you that so you have some perspective on what's going on the grand stage. Now, what we have is a U.S. Ohio-class nuclear submarine currently making its way to the Persian Gulf. What will be the purpose of this? This is not the first time there's been a U.S. nuclear submarine in the Persian Gulf. In fact, as far as I know, it happens every other year. So, I think in light of everything that is going on right now, this is of great concern in light of the fact that there are strike carrier groups moving in that same direction. Now, the question is this one of the 14 nuclear-armed Ohio-class submarines, which are nuclear-powered? They're all nuclear-powered, but not all of them are nuclear-armed. They carry a massive payload of nuclear weapons, up to 160 nuclear warheads in total, spread across several missiles, because each missile, I think, can have up to 8 warheads. And so the question is, are they threatening Iran with nuclear warheads here? That is the question. We don't know if this is conventional or not, but you can guarantee that right now it appears as though tensions between Iran and the United States are about to reach an inflection point as a result of all this stuff that is going on right now. We have Anthony Blinken doing a very fast circuit of the Middle East. He's been to Israel, I think he's been to Jordan, and he's going to Iraq, and then he's going to Turkey, and he's doing this all very quickly. I think he only spent a couple hours in Iraq. I personally think he just went there for the picture, just as a show of strength, a show of force, a show of solidarity. Didn't stay long. I don't even know if they got off the tarmac. They probably met in the airport. I think that he stayed relatively close to a place of egress because he's not very well liked. And there was some threats from the Iraqi resistance forces who are mobilizing as we speak, that had he come there, they would be doing more attacks. And it appears as though that's what they are about to do. Now, we got a lot of videos to show you today with respect to that. But that is something to keep in mind, is that the United States is sending out a lot of its chief envoys. Like you got the CIA Director William Burns heading to Israel as we speak to talk about God knows what, possibly to, in some way prepare the ground for a broader war within the region. Before I go any further here, and you could see this is Anthony Blinken. He always looks so like depressed and despondent, like he just doesn't want to do this job anymore, but he has to because he's being blackmailed. Who knows? But yeah, he just doesn't want to do the job. And you can tell that he kind of has that look that he knows that some bad shit's about to happen. And I think by bad shit, we're talking about a massive war flaring up across the Middle East. So I guess time will tell. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about what I was talking about yesterday with respect to escalation management, because I was making the point that very few countries want to go to full-scale total war with each other. Even the ones that are that champion the military-industrial complex and benefit from that. Many of those countries have a vested interest in keeping at a manageable stage of the escalatory ladder. Okay, so this is the escalation ladder. First, you start off with diplomatic signals and warnings, then you go to economic sanctions. That's kind of where we are with China. Military maneuvers, no engagement. This is kind of where we are with China, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea. Limited tactical actions. This is kind of where we are with Lebanon, Israel, where you're seeing these cross-border skirmishes, but you're not yet seeing widespread combat operations, but we're getting there. We're almost there, and I think after today, we're pretty much going to be there. Then, of course, we have what we're seeing right now in Ukraine, which is a war of attrition. Okay, we are trying to basically strategically defeat the other side without waging total war, where you mobilize everything for the complete annihilation of the enemy. Arguably, this is in some respects, or these two anyways, are kind of where Israel is with their war with the Gaza Strip. It's important to note that I made a point yesterday of saying that I don't think that Israel or Lebanon want to necessarily enter this realm because neither of those countries are entirely self-sufficient. Now, some people came at me and said, well, Israel would never be, left, to itself. The United States would make sure that it had food and all this stuff. And I agree, but my point in making that video was that these countries, neither of them are self-sufficient. They're both net importers of food and energy, and Lebanon is dealing with a very high inflation rate. Now, a friend of mine who I talked to who knows a lot about this region said, in spite of the fact that there's a high inflation rate, the Lebanese people in Syria, they're used to, living hand to mouth. They're used to making do with a lot less, so they might be less fazed by that. You see that resilience with the Palestinian people in general. Would it be the case with Israelis where they've been living a little bit higher on the hog? to have to reduce their standard of living as a result of the supply chain. And just remember that old saying, what does it go? Amateurs talk about tactics, but professionals study logistics. So Nasrallah has to balance these things out. I'm talking about the leader of Hezbollah. If he's going to get in a full-scale war with Israel and likely the United States and all of these other countries that are currently right now staging in Cyprus right here, he has to consider the logistics component of this. There's a lot of people saying, well, why doesn't he just declare war? And, because, well, for one, it's not always strategic to do so, okay? It's all about logistics. If they're not fully prepared to fight a war, then why would you, be goaded into fighting a conflict when you're not ready? You want to be the one who has the initiative. So I just wanted to clarify that, because this horizontal escalation management that we're seeing right now with Hezbollah in Israel, I think is strategic. Could it take a turn for the worse? Are we going to enter the realm of widespread combat operations soon? I do think so. And the reason why is because there was an attack on Lebanese civilians today. Now, Nasrallah said that this was a red line. And this is the problem with red lines. When any leader declares a red line, that gives your opponent leverage, because they know that they can get you to do things if they step over that red line. And what if they want to provoke you to step over that red line when they know that you're not ready to back it up? So anyways, what happened today, officially 2 cars were traveling on the road between Atina and a Tyrone in southern Lebanon, and apparently a mother and her child was killed in that strike. And then in response to that, Hezbollah, I don't know if I can actually show you guys this, but in response to that, Hezbollah lit up a Israeli city and killed 1 person in a retaliatory strike. And there was 5 explosions here. Maybe I can just, I don't know if I should show you this, because sometimes YouTube doesn't like this, but anyways, so these were hits, okay, because the actual Iron Dome system appears to be failing more and more for some reason. Are they dipping into some of their old, less reliable stock? Or what is going on with that? Of course, the Iron Dome system is expensive, okay? These are the Iraqi resistance fighters. So we know that a major escalation is coming on the Lebanese front. It's only a matter of time. Because that Iron Dome system is failing, this is a war of attrition. As I've said, it costs about $50,000 for each Iron Dome interceptor and only $500 for one of these rockets. Was this a concerted effort? As much as Hezbollah and the IRGC, that is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, as much as they try to distance themselves from this, is there some sort of coordination going on here where Hamas and Hezbollah are going to exhaust the Iron Dome with their cheaper missiles, and then, of course, the Houthis and the Iranians and Hezbollah are going to come in with the bigger weapons. Give me 1 sec here to blow my nose, guys. I'm still sicker than a dog. I think I got COVID right now. It is not good. I'm hopped up on medication, and these videos keep getting later and later into the wee hours of the evening, because it seems like around this time, this is when the news cycle kind of slows down a bit and I can stop and analyze things. Anyways, so the Iranians, they claim to have been spying on this Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier. Now, they released this very quick video. Now, the Iranians are notorious for spying on American ships. After all, like if there's something in the Persian Gulf, not this picture, I think this is just, I don't know if this is video game footage or what. So take this with a grain of salt, but it would not be beyond the realm of possibility that the Iranians, whose country is right there, and I'll show you on the map in case you don't know the geography of the region. So we have the Persian Gulf, okay, so Iran is right here. This is Iran, and this is where this U.S. aircraft carrier is going to be based out of. So it's not a very strategic place for it to be positioned. They're going there, obviously, to police this waterway because this is where 20% of the world's oil flows through. The Iranians have threatened to shut it down. Now, the Iranians do have their own fleet of submarines. I believe they have 4 Kilo class submarines, which are slightly bigger submarines, and a lot of these are quite old. And then they have smaller submarines that have a much smaller crew. I'll see if I have a picture of that. So this is one of their smaller submarines. So you can see the guys standing there relative to the size. And these will be attack submarines. So these are the submarines that they would use, likely to attack the Ohio-class submarine, I presume. But don't quote me on that, okay? But so that's the situation that we're looking at in the Persian Gulf. What do we got to talk about next? Iraq is calling to close its U.S. embassies and expel all Americans from the bases. Well, I don't think that the Americans want that, because then they got no bait. Then they got no reason to be there. Look at this. This is a work order that went out by the Islamic Resistance. In the name of God to Jane. Now, this is a translation. But every time they do an attack on an American military base, they post this convenient work order, hey, look at us, we did it, come get us, type memo to the world. And they put the date, and they put the address, and their watermark, and the whole 9 yards. At the night, the Mujahideen of the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, Al-Zafirin group, targeted several targets in the Al-Assad base, which houses the American occupation forces. Fortunately, there's been no deaths yet, but they keep doing this, and I think they're just waiting for the green light from Hezbollah, who effectively is the mouthpiece for the Iranians. He's going to be giving another speech in a few days, and I think after his first presentation, which was rather, it didn't meet people's expectations. A lot of people wanted him to come out guns blazing. I gave reasons as to why it wasn't strategic for him to do so and why he didn't take the bait that was being put in front of him. But now that you have Lebanese civilians killed, it's likely that there will be escalation. We already have an Israeli that was shot, so now the Israelis are going to respond in kind, and it's going to go back and forth and continue to escalate. We have CIA Director William Burns arriving in Tel Aviv as we speak. So what the outcome of that is going to be, I don't know. Why would the CIA Director be in Tel Aviv? I don't know. What role would he possibly have in a war? Well, obviously, they might have some intelligence on various things, and he might be coming to disclose that intelligence about what Lebanon or what Israel's adversaries might be planning. Like I said, Israel shot down a Houthi missile. Apparently, Israel is the first in the world to shoot down an enemy missile outside of the atmosphere. Now, I'm not sure if they used an American Patriot missile system to do that, or what systems they utilized. Was it the THAAD system? I don't know. But, I guess that's good for the Israelis, but it's just another sign. The fact that the Yemenis are continuing to shoot these missiles at all is pretty insane, that they're trying to call that kind of heat on themselves. According to the Iranian foreign minister, he says that the U.S. will face grave consequences if hostilities in Gaza are not brought to an end. Iran's defense minister warned on Sunday, "Our advice to the Americans is to immediately stop the war in Gaza and implement a ceasefire. Otherwise, they will be hit hard." So, I guess we're going to find out. Those be fighting words by the sounds of things. Everywhere you look, there are people mobilizing. Now, this right here, this is an underground nuclear explosion, okay? Now, some people suspect that the only way to take out this vast network of tunnels that currently lie underneath Gaza is to utilize this sort of method. Now, I don't think they're going to, but this is just one possibility. This would be a way that they could minimize the amount of radioactive fallout that would spread to Israel. However, I would presume that the soil itself would be contaminated and the water table would be contaminated, and for the most part this might be uninhabitable for a period of time anyways. And maybe that's not what they want, because they want to build some kind of theme park or who knows what. But something to consider, if they wanted to do that, they would have to likely use numerous smaller, lower yield nuclear weapons. And that would be the only way that you could effectively destroy these tunnels, which are below the depth that you can reach with bunker busters. Bunker busters, I think, can go down about 30 meters. And a lot of these tunnels are down past that, like 60 meters. I think they were specifically designed, some of the main ones, to be below the range of those bunker busting weapons. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened in Energodar. So this is the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Was this some sort of freak electrical accident? It's possible. Was this a targeting of the actual nuclear power station itself? I'm sure we would know by now if that was the case. But this is a video being circulated right now. It could be just some kind of explosion and the reflection of the light off the clouds. You know, it's hard to say. It could just be secondary explosions. It could be an ammo depot. But interesting anyways. There was another massive explosion near Mariupol today, which almost looked like a nuke. And that one was definitely an ammo dump. So Ukraine is still, you know, taking it to the Ruskies. They're still, in spite of the fact that things aren't going so well and morale is very low, they're utilizing their long-range missile systems that or medium-range, I guess you could say, that they've been given from the British and the French and the Americans, the HIMARS, the long-range HIMARS. They've been using them well. So something is working out for them. This is that one. I don't know if I can show you this or not. I probably can show you it. Yeah, so this is that explosion. It was just massive, like a massive explosion. Huge explosion. Ukraine making it count. And we had a very strong geomagnetic storm tonight, which produced some very interesting aurora borealis. Red skies that I personally have never seen before up here. I've never seen this before. Some people are going to say, well, that's, you know, this is a sign of the end of days or something, or it's a sign of the pole shift. That's what people are saying. Who knows, man? Who knows? According to Zelensky, Russia, Iran, and North Korea sponsored the Hamas attack on Israel. Interesting. He might be going to visit Israel next week. By the sounds of things, yeah, he's saying that this was all coordinated by the Russians, the Iranians, and the North Koreans. So take it with a grain of salt. North Korea is going to do a satellite launch, which is going to, well, they say a satellite launch. We don't know what it will be exactly. Is it going to be an EMP-armed satellite, like some people suspect they already have up there, that they're going to activate when the time comes? Who knows? But they are going to be getting assistance from the Russians in order to do this. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you guys, and this was apparently a missile test done by the Russians. This is a SLBM test. Now, according to some sources, this test failed. We got a lot of nuke tests failing, both on the Russian and the American side recently, but this is an SLBM. That's what it would look like, guys. If we're looking at the end of the world, that's what they would shoot from their nuclear submarines. Apparently that test failed, so some people say. On November 5th, the American agency Reuters reported that the nuclear-powered strategic submarine cruiser Emperor Alexander III successfully completed a test launch of the mentioned SLBM as part of the final stage of the state test program before joining the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Navy. But some people are saying that the test didn't go well. I guess we'll never know. And Belarus is complaining about air violations. So they are saying that the the Poles have violated their airspace 5 times in the last month. So are we seeing tensions rise in that theater as well? That's all I got for you guys today. I hope this has been a brief crash course overview of the last 48 hours. I do suspect that things are going to continue to escalate as they have been, it seems, for the last 3 years, unfortunately. I'm starting to sweat here. I feel some sneezes coming on, so I think it's time for me to get a little bit of rest, but we're going to keep on keeping on because this is not a time to rest on our laurels, and this is definitely a time to keep on prepping, my friends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.